Hi everyone, my name is Jon Thai. I am one of the principals and founders here at Hatch Duo, and I primarily lead the industrial design team. I've been a designer for about 10 years now. I've had experience in consulting environments, working for great companies such as Y Studios, Whipsaw, and I had the pleasure of working with great client companies such as Sonos, Activision, TP-Link, Intel, you name it. I've also had startup experience at a company called Soul Republic. It's an audio brand. And I've also had in-house corporate experience leading a special projects team for North America called Ubiquity Networks. For me, I knew I wanted to pursue industrial design when I was actually in my last year of university at UC Irvine. I was a studio art major at the time, and I loved to paint and draw, but I still didn't really know what to do in terms of applying art. And so I started to take classes at Art Center at Night in Pasadena, which was about a 2-hour drive from my school at the time. And I would take night classes basically on my last year of graduation, preparing for an industrial design degree. I had been an avid sneaker collector, and just through looking up shoe design, I discovered a designer named Tinker Hatfield from Nike, and that basically just led me down a path of discovering what industrial design was. I would say is pretty valuable. One of my first experiences in industrial, my first internship was at a company called NeuroSky. It was a biometric company that was designing brain controller interfaces, and I really got a chance to understand how to mesh the fringe of new technological developments with human-centered design. And so that experience basically snowballed into consulting experience at Whipsaw and other consultancies where I learned to work with a multitude of different industries, different clients. Take all these different learnings and made myself become aware, and created the snowball effect for the future experiences I would have later. One would be visualization, visual communication. You have to be able to sketch, you have to be able to communicate your ideas visually, because if you can't, who else will? Number 2, empathy. You have to empathize with the end user, but not just the end user. You have to be able to understand, say if you're in a client situation, you have to understand and empathize with their business context and the goals they're trying to achieve. So it's not just about what you want, it's about what the user wants and what the client business would want. And lastly, it's not necessarily a skill, but a behavior, which is to stay perpetually inspired and passionate, because I believe the best creative ideas come to designers when they are inspired and feeling passionate about what they do. For me, was aggregate as a brand. I've done a lot of great products before, like really notable ones, but I think to create a brand and a company from scratch and design that so that it actually produces income and revenue is something that I think takes a little bit of a more holistic approach to understand not just like the product ecosystem, but brand positioning. For me and my partner, that was one of the highlights of my career. To be honest, we wanted something catchy. We knew we wanted to create, and I think we looked up words that connotated creation and something new, and Hatch was one of those names. And then my partner and I had already started a business, and we were this dynamic duo, and so you know, the combination of the two of us, that was kind of where we came up with the name 𝐀𝐁 Duo. And then obviously there's subsequent meaning that we found as we kind of played with that idea. You know, he was an engineer, I was a designer, and so, you know, mixing the two, we were able to hatch great products. But then also, more or less, like, I think it leaves a lot of room for the future to not pigeonhole us into just a pure stereotypical design studio, and it leaves room for us to become something more. Well, for one, we both knew that we had a very desirable set of skills that could help a certain type of user, and that user was entrepreneurs and small startup companies. We saw this gap in a need where great ideas were being ignored purely because they couldn't afford the larger, more expensive Silicon Valley firms. And so we felt that we could provide similar, if not better in some sense, a better fit of quality for those particular startups in need. And so that's why we set out to create 𝐀𝐁 Duo. I believe prospects come to us when they definitely understand the value of design and understand that, you know, they need it to get to that next level, whether they're trying to raise a seed round, trying to raise a Series A, and they need, you know, roadmap vision for, you know, their brand and the product. They'll come to us and we usually can help them. I think also, like, clients will come to us when they really don't know what to do. They know they want to create a physical product, or, you know, or they have a digital experience, but they know that it needs to be facilitated through a physical product. We can basically help strategize with them to figure out, you know, how to get there, right? Also, like, when they're a startup and you know, they have an idea they want to take to market or to production, and they're just not able to, you know, have the resources to go to perhaps a larger firm. Usually, like, we would be a very good fit for that. The main thing that sets us apart is that we are a startup for startups. We have gone through a product development company ourselves, and so we kind of understand from your perspective of what you're going through, the challenges and the obstacles, as well as, you know, the timing of objectives and when you should be trying to achieve them. So I think in that sense we have a great sense of one-to-one empathy. And along those lines too, we are a smaller firm, and so while in larger design firms you may be working with a number of junior designers, here with us you're actually going to be working directly with one of the principals. And I think there's a lot of value in that, and there's a lot of personability in that we are truly partnering with you. We care about your success, and it's less transactional and more about the relationship. And then lastly, we understand the value of a multidisciplinary team. That for startups, you know, having a budget or resource to pay for that type of overhead is not necessarily always feasible. And so we have a very dynamic business model where we have a multidisciplinary set of leads, and we basically will produce the teams similar to the way the film industry does for your custom project. And that helps to maximize the value of the engagement while keeping, you know, excess operational costs down. I would say the number one characteristic is self-drive, self-starter. If you're going to be part of the 𝐀𝐁 Duo team, you almost have to be an entrepreneur, where you are taking leadership, initiative, and accountability for your own kind of department. We almost see a lot of our team as one-person armies, where they're taking on a lot and they're responsible and accountable for a lot. And so, you know, that's a personality that maybe is not for everyone, but That's kind of what we look for here. Second is the ability to pivot quickly. We are a startup ourselves, and we also have a lot of startups come through to us as clients, and so the needs can be different at times, and the needs of our own business can change and evolve over time, and so we need to be able to pivot quickly and be very adaptable. The last thing is we generally just want you to be a nice person. We work together probably like 70% of the week together, and so we're going to want to enjoy working together. We're going to want to be friends, and so case in point is we don't really enjoy working with divas here. I see 𝐀𝐁𝐎𝐔 pumping out more and more startups, investing in more startups where we're going to start to have a proliferating impact on a lot of these emerging companies, and we're going to have a fingerprint on those because we've helped invest through design to them at an early stage. And so that takes time, and we'll see some of that, I think, in the near future. But on top of that, I also see that 𝐀𝐁𝐎𝐿 is going to be that new type of design firm where we're not just so heavily focused on designing projects for money. We're hopefully going to put out a lot of valuable content as well and become a content hybrid company. And we do have some plans as well to produce a little more educational value for our clients, like providing workshops and webinars and things of that nature. So I think that's where we see ourselves going.